Kpaceguy here. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new series called The Desk Bookshelf Speaker Review. We've done several bookshelf speaker reviews on the desk before, but I decided to why not make it a series since we're going to be over here a lot. So welcome to the first episode of The Desk Bookshelf Speaker Review. We have the Klipsch RP600Ms making their way into the first episode. And my big buddy out there, Mr. JP John Paul, allowed me to take these from his house to bring in for a review. We actually went to his home and viewed his home theater. If you haven't seen that video, it's the second to last video that I posted. I'll leave a link down in the description. Thank you so much, John Paul, for allowing me to take your speakers out for review. So I have been listening to these for a couple of days now, including today, and I have a pretty good idea of what I want to say. And let's start off with what these are. So this is the Klipsch RP600Ms. You can find them in between $479, I think $449 to $579 is what you can find them for, depending on what color you go for. You can get them in the black ash, or I think the glossy black finish I think they come in, but you also have this really nice walnut finish too that I think I like the most. They do have grills that come with them, and they are magnetic. I love to see that on a speaker. Magnetic grills are the way to go. But of course, the Klipsch copper cone, you have to leave it exposed. You have to show that copper cone off, so we don't have grills on ours today. But we are finally getting a chance to review some Klipsch bookshelf speakers on the channel, and man, let's get right into it. Alright, to introduce the Klipsch speakers, let's start off with a little bit of specs. So we have here a 6.5-inch cerametallic woofer, and on top of that woofer is a 1-inch Tractrix hybrid horn. Now everybody knows back in the day Klipsch was known for being bright and maybe even harsh sounding, but I think that stigma is gone. I think that Klipsch has taken that feedback and really changed all of their speakers as of late, and so I don't really suspect that I'll have any issues with that. Of course, you can always just turn the treble down and voila, right? But I think overall that stigma behind them should be pretty much gone. I think overall Klipsch speakers sound very good nowadays. And so like I said, not a very expensive bookshelf, $479 for the pair, up to $579 depending on what color you go for. So relatively affordable for most people. They're capable as well. They go down to 45 Hertz, so they should give you some really good response, and I'm sure in-room response is even deeper. I've experienced pretty solid low bass in this room, and my room's not very big at all, and so it's a pretty solid performer for sure. So I have some demos that I'm going to play. Of course, you guys know how it goes on the desk. We put these through some serious tests of different types of music so that we can see what their strengths and weaknesses are. So I'm going to go to my good old playlist where we get to, you know, listen to some demos together, and I'll give you guys my live reaction of what I think. So let's go to my first song.
Oh no, anxiety creeps up on me. Is this how it's supposed to feel? Tell me when it's over, I got someplace that I gotta be. It won't leave. My friends say, get out of your comfort zone, it's a blessing in the...
Let's stop right there and talk about what we heard. So the song right off the bat is a whole bunch of vocals. Female voices really show off the Tractrix horn that Klipsch uses, because female voices have a very airy kind of sound, especially ones that can sing really high. There's a really airy type of sound that comes through very well on these Klipsch speakers, and I think that really adds to the music because it sounds lifelike. When you listen to a person sing in person, you can hear the air escape their voice. And you can hear that here with hers, and that's really nice. I mean, it just stays true to life, and that's what makes a really good speaker. I'm gonna continue to play that same song and see where it goes.
In the skies, get out of what you call home. Your name is written in the sky. It might feel just like you're on your own, but baby, it's another lie. Remember, you were me. I try to work, but it doesn't work.
At least with this song so far, the Klipsch does a really good job at keeping the vocals forward and making sure that that's what the main thing that you hear. A lot of speakers, a lot of times, can get really lost. When there's a lot of different things going on in a piece of music, sometimes speakers have a hard time putting forward what needs to be forward. In this case, the vocals are what's most important. Well, usually always, right? And Klipsch is doing a really good job of keeping those with those voices forward, and then all the instruments and the synthetic beat and all that good stuff is staying behind the voice, so that you're grooving, but you're listening to her sing. You're not listening to the beat. Nothing's distracting you from the music from her. So that's really nice. Let's click another random one. Just gonna click this one here.
Yeah. You know, even try to, nobody can match you. Don't you for life, sexy mind and body. You already got me now. Loving you, my.
Another really good example of putting the voices forward. A++ on vocal reproduction, because we did a female voice and a male voice so far, and both stayed forward. He's a little higher singing. I'm interested to see if I can find a song with a low male voice and see how it does with that. But so far, the mid register or high registers, the Klipsch does just fine with. This beat has like a Congo drum or something back there with some more synthetic beat to it. And again, all what you care about, what you want to hear the most, is staying in front of the music, and then the drums and the beat, whatever, just kind of they accompany the voice, which is what you want. Klipsch is doing a good job of keeping everything separated so that you can hear what's going on in the music. Again, I've said this about a lot of speakers, and these are the same. I don't have much width between left and right speaker, but it still plays a lot wider than how far I had them set. And that's another sign of a good speaker, to be able to give you a giant wall of sound, and regardless of how they're placed, they still manage to sound bigger than they are. Now, speaking of size, these Klipsch speakers are probably on the, I wouldn't say they're too big. For a bookshelf speaker, they're probably a little bit on the larger side than smaller side. But it really helps that low bass extension, especially in this song. There's a little bit of low bass. You may not be able to hear it on your end, but there's a little bit of low bass in there. So they definitely do reach down to 45 hertz for sure. I don't know that I would send all that bass to them at loud volumes. I think crossing them over at 60 hertz would be really healthy for them. And then maybe like a 12 dB roll off would be perfect, so it still plays 50, 55 hertz, but it's comfortable 60 or higher without any kind of strain or distortion, but it leaves the bass presence there. So there is a little bit of a bass note down there, maybe 45, 50 hertz, that's very present, but it's not overwhelming, which sounds really good, I will definitely say. They are slightly pulled off from the wall. This one has a window, this one is against the wall, it's a little bit. There is a large horn type port back there. And it's definitely against the wall for sure, so there is a little bit of boundary gain. If I was to pull this off into the room, that bass would probably diminish, but it'd be a little bit tighter. But I think the closer to the wall I have these, maybe the better, because they're clean sounding. Now, Klipsch is known for absolute sensitivity. They are some really efficient speakers. We're powering these with 50 watts RMS to each speaker on my Rythmik amplifier, the S50 Pro and the A50. I have them both here. Fantastic amplifier. If you haven't seen the review that I've done, definitely check that out. But we're not giving them a lot of juice. They're rated for 100 watts RMS, 400 watts peak. But because it's so sensitive at 96 dB, they can take little power and still perform very, very well, and again, very, very efficiently. So it doesn't take much power to power a Klipsch speaker, and these are no different. Let's click on another random song. I'm just gonna hit this one. So we have a piano that's probably, I don't know, on the lower side of the piano, probably towards C4, C3, somewhere in that octave. So we're on the lower side of the piano. And now we're starting to hear some flaws just in that little snippet. Piano is a very tough instrument for speakers to replicate, because the fingers can press a lot of keys at once, chords and everything, and a speaker has to be able to separate each of those finger presses, right? Each of those keys that pianist pressed. So what I'm hearing right now is a lot of jumbled noise. It's very easy to hear the upper end, the da-na-na-na-na-na. That part was easy to hear. It's the accompaniment underneath in the left hand that's starting to get a little bit jumbled. I'll play it again and try to listen for that. So you heard the piano go up an octave, probably C above, middle C, somewhere in that area, that octave range. it kind of jumped up a little bit, and the speaker's harder to open up. What does that tell me about these speakers? They really like the higher register, and that, you know, the horn-loaded tweeter is probably a reason why. It really favors the higher end side. It's still a bright speaker. I would definitely say it's bright, but not harsh. I'm not fatigued by any means. I have it at a pretty loud volume. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's pretty loud for most listening, especially how close I am to them. So I'm not fatigued by any means, but when it got up to the higher register in the piano, it's when it started to open up and sound a little bit more natural. When it was in the beginning, when we're playing lower on the piano, is when things started to sound a little more jumbled together. Now again, we're at a $500, we'll call a $500 bookshelf speaker a pair, so you can't be too picky, but that is something that I noticed. I do want to fast forward the song a little bit more and listen to what else it does. I don't know what it is. It's something about the higher register of voices, of instruments, of the piano. It has this lifted, airy sound, which sounds absolutely beautiful. Nice job to the song itself. This is called Beginning by Megan Wofford, W-O-F-F-O-R-D. The song itself is great. I love piano music like this. Solo piano, I guess you can call it. And I think the Klipsch loves it too. It just seems to have this lifted, airy sound that just floats in the air. And it just sounds so pleasing and so relaxing. In the beginning, I didn't get that same vibe just because everything's kind of jumbled. You distinctively heard the higher end, but the lower end just kind of sounded mushy. I'm going to change song and try maybe one more. Let's see what we got here. There is a little bit of a boxy sound, and it may be more the music than the speakers itself, but there is a boxy type of sound to it. You can kind of tell that they're not like super expensive speakers, but they're well-built, well-designed speakers, but they're not expensive speakers. You can kind of hear the well-built part of, I guess when things get jumbled, you hear the well-built. When you hear a really nice airy lifted sound, you hear the not really expensive kind of sound. What I'm trying to say is, you can tell that you're not listening to maybe 1,000 pair speakers or 2,000 a pair speakers. You're getting exactly what you pay for, maybe just a little bit more, with their ability to reach high and play pretty low and stay relatively coherent through that whole piece. You're probably getting a little bit more of your money than $500. I think they sound pretty good. They don't beat like $1,000 a pair speakers or $900 a pair speakers, but they definitely rival or surpass more $500, $600 speakers for sure. Let's continue that song. I don't think it's going to come through on your side, but in this song, there's like a scratchy record kind of effect going on that's kind of placed in the right speaker, and it's so subtle, and because it's subtle, not a lot of speakers are going to give that detail to you. Well, clap for this Klipsch speakers because I was able to pick that out. I don't think that I was able to do that in some of the other speakers that I've had up here, like the Kpaceguy 50s, I think they're called, or 40s, something like that, whatever the first generation was. I didn't pick that up with these. These Klipsch speakers, I can pick up the small little details that are like hidden in the music. You can pick that out. Even though the beat is loud and the background acoustics are loud, you still pick up those small details inside the music, which only a good speaker can do. So I'm going to end this here because I don't want it to get too long. It's already long, but I like these Klipsch speakers. I'm going to give them definitely a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason why I'm not giving them 5 stars is because there is times where it sounds discombobulated. When you have too much going on, especially in the lower range, things start to sound tangled. But as the music opens up and you get to the higher registers or things like that, that's when the speaker comes to life. So if you're like an operatic or classical music listener, if you like, I guess some kind of rock music would be good, and pop music would be good as well. Classical piano, I think these would be really good. Jazz, maybe not so much, because jazz tends to have the bass notes and the boom, 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 and things like that. I think that's when you get into trouble. As far as the home theater side, I think these would be really, really good for home theater if you had them for your main speakers. I think they'd be great for that. Cross them over at 60, put a sub with them. I think you'll have an awesome sound system. You can even use them as rears, but I think they shine more if you use them as your front stage, or at least make all these speakers your, if you're going to use these as rears, have another pair for your front as well. I think they shine better in the front of the room than they do on the side or the back. Or two-channel music will be just fine too. So if you guys have heard the Klipsch 600Ms, please leave me a comment down below and tell me what you guys thought about the speakers themselves. Did you like them? Were they bright to you? Were they fatiguing? Were they perfect? What did you guys think when you heard these speakers? Leave me that comment down below. Again, thank you so much, John Paul, for allowing me to review these speakers. He also gave me his subwoofer to review, which we'll do that in the next video. So stay tuned for that, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Kpaceguy out. Peace.